Morning, welcome to another week. Obviously last week was an RC week because of the national gathering, but we're back in the workshop this week. Today's job is I've got a smart car in that I had last week. Oh, you wouldn't have seen it last week because I didn't film it. This is coming with a knocking noise. The only thing I can see that's loose is the anti-roll bar bushes, so I'm changing those now, and then I'm going to test it, and if that solves the noise, great. If not, I'm going to have a good look around it again. But I tried pry bar and everything seemed tight. The top mounts didn't move when you put it on the ground and lifted it, so that's the only thing that's got play in it. So I'm hoping that's going to be them. And then once that's done, you can just about see out there, maybe not because of the light, but the Freelander that I bought last week or week before with the clutch gone, I need to pull that in and start taking that apart. I might have also just bought that gold Freelander that my landlord owns, that had in as well that before, failed its MOT, so I'm going to do, well, if I say it failed its MOT, the MOT got aborted because of the smoke. But I think that's going to be the breather filter. So I'm going to change that and then I'll stick it in for an MOT because it didn't actually go through a test. It just got aborted as soon as it come in because I revved it and it smoked. So I didn't even finish the test. So it doesn't show online anymore. So yeah, so I'm going to change the PCV filter, give it a service, and then put it for an MOT and see what else it needs. It might be catastrophic, I don't know, but we'll see. Maybe I'll put it in for a test first, do the PCV filter just so it stops the heavy smoke, put it in for a test, see what else it needs before I sort of spend any more money on it. But yeah, anyway, right, these bushes, let me show you. It's these ones here. So all I've got to do, I've obviously just undone the tray, just undo these, the cap comes off and I can change the bush. So let's quickly do that, that's all it is, and see whether that stops the noise. But everything else, as I say, seems tight, so I'm hoping it is these. Right, so the deal has technically been done. I've agreed to purchase this subject to an MOT. Now, obviously, I'm going to pay for the MOT. If it turns out it's no good, then we're just going to weigh it in at the local place that they've been offered the money for. So all I would have lost is the cost of the MOT. So, but it's smoking. I think it is the PCV valve. I'm betting, I did a video on this on my wife's Freelander a few years ago, and said about the PCV valve. That had already been changed for the BMW item. So I'm in fact going to just quickly take this apart and have a look and see whether this has got the original one in or whether it's been updated. If it's been updated, then we know there's a problem. If it's the original Land Rover part, which I suspect it is, then that's going to be our smoking problem. So we need to change it for the BMW item. But for now, I'm just going to strip it down and have a look. So yes, I've got to take, I've done all this before, so I don't really need to show you, but I'm going to take the cover off, and the PCV breather system is underneath this cover. So first off, the cover is coming off. And there we go. As expected, it's got the original Land Rover one that's probably blocked to high heaven. So I'm going to quickly see if I can get a BMW version. If not, I'm going to drench this in brake cleaner, see if we can get this a bit cleaner just for the MOT, and then once we get through the MOT with no smoke, hopefully if we clean this enough, we'll get the BMW one ordered up and change it, and then obviously the new owner will have peace of mind that it's done. Right, I've chucked it in some DPF cleaner, and as you can see, it's fizzing away in there, so hopefully that will give us a bit of a clean in time just to get it through the MOT, because I need to order the other one from BMW. It'll take a couple of days, so I'm hoping if I can clean this enough, this will, stop it smoking just for the MOT, and then we'll get it changed. So yeah, that seems to be doing whatever it's doing. Right, the Smart has gone back to the owner. I changed those ARB bushes. He's been out for a drive and he said, yep, the noise is gone. So that's what it was, that's good. The gold Freelander, I cleaned out the PCV valve. It's not very clean, it's completely clogged. but I I rolled it across a wire brush just to pierce some holes in it, and now it's clear at the moment, enough to take it for an MOT. I've just run it up the road and back, and there doesn't seem to be any smoke, so fingers crossed that's sorted. There's no pressure at the dipstick or anything like that either, so once it's MOT'd and we know that it's worth MOTing, then I'll put a valve in it from BMW. I think they're about 20 quid from the dealer, so it's not the end of the world. None of the local places could get me one today. All they could do is get me a Land Rover one, the original foam one, for tomorrow or Thursday, but it was like 30 quid, so there's no point. I might as well just wait till the MOTs, whether we can see whether it's viable for an MOT, and go from there. But I have got the blue one in because we're going to start the clutch, because the clutch arrives tomorrow. So maybe I can have this done this week, and again, that's another one we can get ready to go. So right, I'll take you underneath and show you what we need to do. So first job is to remove the sump guard, get that out of the way, and we're also going to drop the subframe out as well. But first of all, we've got all the bolts that hold the subframe on, sorry, not the subframe, the guard on. So we'll get that taken off and then we'll go from there. Right, next is the subframe. So we've got one big bolt there, little bolts on the wishbone, both sides, bottom ball joint, anti-roll bar link. I'm going to pop this out of the way. I mean, you can just about squeeze the gearbox through the gap. There's quite a bit of room, but for the sake of a few bolts and just to get it out of the way, I think it's worth the trouble. So let's do that next. All right, I've undone both ball joints. I've just got to give them a tap, pop the taper. I've drained the gearbox oil. Annoyingly, it looked like brand new. So now I've just got to pop the shafts out. And then I can pop the ball joints and pull the whole lot out and drop the wishbone. So that's next job. Right, subframe's off. Main ones are 18mm and the rear ones were 15mm. So that's off. They're out the way. So now to pop this drive shaft out. Right, so I've got both shafts popped out. Next is to remove this bracket that stops the transfer box from moving this way. So it's three 15mm and then two 10mm, and this bracket will come out the way. And then there's a bracket on the top which all look like 13mm. Did I say they were 13? 15 and 13. 15 and 13. Right, that's them two brackets off. There was actually 3 bolts. You can just see the third one there. You couldn't see it with the bracket on, but you have to reach over. It's there. So there's 3 holding it against the block and 2 holding it on the side of the transfer box. Next, I think will be the gear selector rods. So these 2 just pop off of these. You might need to use a pry bar. So that's the next bit. I popped the rods off at both ends and I've labelled which one's upper and lower, because them 2 are the same size ball joint, whereas them 2 are small and large. So that'll be easy on that end. So just to make sure I get them the right way around and I haven't got to take them off and try and fit them on again. Right, next job is to undo the prop shaft and pop that out the way, and then we can start unbolting the transfer box, which is 2 bolts there, 2 bolts on top, and this should all come away. So let's undo that prop first. Right, for now the transfer box is supported by a ratchet strap. I could undo the pipes and take it right off, but you know, I think I should be all right here to get to the bolts at the back of the gearbox and all round it. So that is the next job. Oh, and they're the 4 bolts that come out of the transfer box that hold it to the gearbox. 4 times 15 heads. Right, so next just got to undo that there, which I believe is probably a 10 or 13mm. I can't see it between the camera. And then we've got to undo both of these bolts here. That should be it for the back. I'll have another look, but I think that's it. Right, them 2 bottom ones are different sizes. So you've got to make sure, I do this anyway, but just to make sure you lay them out in order, or you could put a circle in a bit of cardboard and poke them through in the order they go. But I'm just going to lay them here, so I know I start with that one and then come round anti-clockwise. Yeah, so I'm just going to start popping out all the gearbox bolts now. Right, so I've got the ones around the front. There is an earth strap here that was on this one by the starter motor. I can't pull that bolt all the way out, so that can stay there. So now we need to support the bottom of the engine and go up the top. So I'm going to lower this down, put a jack underneath, and then, yeah, we need to take the battery tray out to get to the top ones. Right, battery tray's out. There was a bolt in the middle, and there was a bolt, 2 bolts at the side and 1 bolt at the front of the thing. That must have fell through the bottom of the battery tray, so I'll put that in a minute. I've put me bit of wood across the wings, put a ratchet strap around the block just to hold it, because we're now going to loosen off the gearbox mount, and then we'll do the rest of the bell housing bolts. But what I need to do is get this off, drop the engine down, but obviously don't want to strain that mount too much, so I've put a ratchet strap on there for now, but it's not tight. I'll let it sit where it can sit comfortably, and then I'll strap it to hold it. But yeah, right, so it's just the bolts around the outside of the mount and the one that goes through next. Right, I've undone the mount. I've taken, there was I think it was a harmonic balancer. This long bolt went all the way through this and into the gearbox mount, and then this 10mm just held it onto the actual mount itself. So I took that off, and then the bolt out the middle and the other 3 bolts around the outside, and the mount is loose. I can't get it off because it sits underneath, I don't think. Oh, I might be able to, but oh yeah, that will come out. Yeah, so that's that job. So I think now that's off, we need to lower the whole engine down and go from there. But let's get this mount out of the way and have a look and see where we're at. Right. Next we got that plug there, and there's one on the back which I'll get to once I put it back up in the air. And also there is the hydraulic line here somewhere. Can't really see it because there's cables in the way. There's a hydraulic line there with a push fitting. You just got to push it together and pull it apart, and that's for the clutch slave. And then we just got to find the bolts around the top of the gearbox. So that's next job. You can just about see up there. Hang on, let me see if I can get the torch on it, make it a bit better for you. There we go. Right, so hang on. So this white collar has to be pushed in really hard to be able to separate them. So you just see that this top lip, you just see that on the outside. So you have to I had to get a screwdriver and just force that as far forward as I could, and then it popped out of there. So that's loose. I've also now undone the top 2 gearbox bolts, so in theory we should be free. But what I have done, I just put this nut and bolt back in just to hold it while I undone the top ones, because obviously just in case it started falling without any other protection. So at least that's held. So now I'm going to put the transmission jack underneath, take that bolt out and try and pry it apart. Right, the starter motor, well, I'll say it's separated now, but the starter motor seems to be stuck there. Oh, I can't really show you. I can't really feel where there's another bolt holding it on. So what I'll do, I'll take off the main lives and the switch, and then bring the starter motor off with the gearbox, I think. I forgot about that. It's a bit hard to see, but I can't feel any other bolts around there, so I don't know. So I'll just disconnect that power line and that switch, and we'll go from there. Right, I found it. There's a 13mm hidden up there that holds the back of the starter on. So I'm just going to undo that and pop the starter out and get it out of the way. And we're out. The box is down. So yeah. So now I've just got to unbolt the clutch. The new one has arrived. So we'll get them swapped over. So let's take this one apart. Well, I'd definitely say that clutch has had it. Yep, that'd be why it wouldn't drive then. Right, I've changed the cylinder as well because that was knackered. So yeah, you just got to pop out this rubber bung, and then the pipes are free to swivel around so you can get it back on in the right way. So I think we're ready to lift the box back in now. I'm going to grease up the splines in a bid to make it a bit easier to slide on. So fingers crossed, let's have a go. So refitting is the reverse of removal. So we have the box back in. We have the transfer box back in. We have the mounts all holding it there. What I need to do next is fill the gearbox with fluid, fill the transfer box with fluid, and then I can start putting the subframe back on. But that'll do for today. I think it's not a bad amount of work done. So hopefully tomorrow we can yeah, get it driving out the door. Right, we're putting our 75/90 in, I think it was. Ignore the bottle, that's just what I use to fill things with. So we're filling the transfer box, then we'll pop the drive shafts back in, and we'll fill the gearbox up with MTF 94. So it's coming together. Right, so it's completely back together. Everything is back on, except one thing. I had to take off that big metal, possibly a harmonic balancer thing, to be able to get to, you probably can't, oh there you go, the bleed nipple, to bleed the clutch. So we've just whipped that back off so we can at least get on a tube on that or whatever. We need to undo it and let fluid come out and pump the clutch a few times, etc., and bleed it. So that's the next job. Right, so the instructions said you can't use a vacuum bleeder on this clutch, so I'll take heed of that. So what I'm doing is pumping the pedal, wedging a bit of wood there, and then releasing the bleed nipple. There you go. So do a couple more of them and hopefully we'll be all right. Right, we've almost got a pedal. I've done it quite a few times. The manual does say 25 and I reckon I'm getting near that. So yeah, I'm gonna have to clear all that out. I didn't bother putting a hose on it because I wanted to see it. So we'll have to give that a clean up with some brake cleaner. And to get to the bloody reservoir, you can't get anything to pour in there. So what I'm having to do is suck some into the hose, hold the end, and then blow it back out into there. I've only managed to get some in my mouth twice, but it's not very pleasant. Straight away wash my mouth out. I think it's quite toxic as well, so got to be careful doing that, but that's the only way, the only thing I've got here that would do it. I suppose you could probably use one of them old oil cans with a long spout, but I haven't got one that's working. So that is the only way. So I'm going to do a few more times, probably another 5 or 6 times, and then hopefully we'll be ready to go. Right, and there she is, another one saved. She's back on the road again. This was going for scrap, remember, so yeah. The clutch still isn't great. I think I need to do some more bleeding, even though I've bled it 20 times. The biting point is really, really close to the pedal. There's not, you're literally on and off at the bottom of the pedal, so I think it still needs a bit more of a bleed. But I'll do a few miles in it, just to get everything circulating and make sure everything's settled, and then we'll bleed it again. Only got to lift the battery out, it's not the end of the world. So yeah, time to do some miles in it, and that's another one saved this week. Well, I'll say another one saved, that's this one saved this week. Potentially we're going to save another one this week. Right, so I've got this one back on the ramp. It's going for its MOT tomorrow, but obviously where they'd taken it with the blocked breather, and when the MOT tester pulled the dipstick, it spurted oil at him. That's why they bought it apparently. So yes, I've had this running now with the cleaned PCV. I've had the dipstick out, there's no issue, but I just had to clean it of all the oil from underneath. It was caked. I took off the sump guard, cleaned all that off, cleaned all the engine off, had it running, got no oil dripping anywhere. So I'll leave it tonight on the lift, and then before I go for the MOT in the morning, I'll just check the oil and top it up. I've checked all the lights, I've checked the wipers, checked the tyres. It's got 2 new tyres on the front, so I think we shouldn't have much problem really. So fingers crossed for tomorrow. Right, so it's Friday afternoon, and this week we've saved 2 Freelanders. So this one is the one that had the clutch. I've just had it all valeted. Been a few miles today. Clutch now, biting point and everything is absolutely fine. So that one's almost ready to go. I'd like to do a few more miles in it. This one, as I said earlier in the video, had a blocked PCV filter making it smoke. I've unblocked it, taken it for an MOT, and although there is still a wisp of smoke, we're pretty much ticketed and ready to go. So yeah, this one needs a good service, that new PCV valve and a good valet, and then I'll drive that one around for a bit to make sure all's all right, and then that can go as well. So yeah, So thanks for watching this week, guys, and I'll see you next week in the next video. I'm not sure how good the weather's going to be this weekend. It's lovely today, but there's word it's not going to be too great tomorrow. But whatever you're doing, have a great one, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Ta-da.